Hi guys, my name is Kirsty. Welcome back to Upside Down Books. Today we are doing my third consecutive ridiculously big book haul, this time for February.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di torno.
So welcome back, welcome one, welcome all. Lovely to see you. I've got so many books to show you. I have 3 piles of books next to me and they're all quite considerably tall and I'm not entirely sure how it's happened. I seem to just be very good at acquiring books lately, and so we are going to get right into it and I'll give you my excuses as we go through, and I will also start with the books I don't have a physical copy of because we know I will forget if I don't do that. So let's start with some arcs that I've got on my Kindle and let's talk about those. Not that I can remember which books I've got. So I've been going through a little bit of a phase where I have been acquiring some books from NetGalley to review on my Kindle. I've had a few good reading experiences on my Kindle. I don't usually lean towards ebooks, but I have been enjoying it lately. And so this is how I've ended up with this many books to read on my Kindle. And I'm pretty excited for all of them. So let me just talk you through them and we'll do it in publication order for a little bit of fun as well. So the first book is coming out on the 23rd of March, so this month, and that's Odin's Child by Siri Peterson. And I am quite looking forward to picking this one up. It's actually quite a big book and it is obviously about mythology. It's looking, honestly, I'm gonna let you go and read the blurb if you think that this title and cover looks interesting to you, because it's a little bit too difficult for me to maybe summarize here for you, but I am just expecting this is going to be quite interesting. It has been translated from Norwegian. I think it was originally published around 2016. So it's not like a new book, but it is new in the English market. So I'm really looking forward to picking that one up. And as I said, that one is coming out at the end of the month. The next book that I've got for review on my Kindle is Mercurial, and that one is by Naomi Hughes. It's coming out on the 16th of March, so about a week earlier than Odin's Child, and I think it has the most gorgeous cover. I'm really looking forward to starting this one. It's a little bit shorter, but it's still quite a long book compared to Odin's Child, and I am really crossing my fingers that it's going to be as good as I've been building it up in my mind to be. This one has been blurbed as for fans of the Grishaverse and the Winner's Curse. I've not read the Winner's Curse, but I think that is a very interesting combination of stories that they have branded it as, marketed it towards. And it certainly sounds like we've got a medieval town, sort of castles and mages and emperors, and then we've got magic involved and rebels and all sorts of little elements like that we always enjoy in our fantasy books. So those are 2 that I will be reading relatively soon, as they are coming out this month. Then we move on to some releases coming out towards the end of the year that I've had my eye on and have got a copy of ready to go, ready to read closer to the time. So the first one that I've got is Sisters of the Wolf by Patricia Miller Schroeder. That one is coming out on the 24th of August. I really love the cover for it. I was a little bit annoyed because when I got my approval through on NetGalley. And if you don't know what NetGalley is, that is a website where reviewers can go to request e-galleys, e-arcs if you will. But when this one came through, there wasn't actually like an e-reader format. It was just a PDF. And I'm not thrilled that I'm going to have to read it via a PDF, but that's okay. What can we do? But yeah, really loving the cover and the sort of vibes that I'm getting from this book. I will read you the blurb for this one. Can Shinoni and Kina, 2 Ice Age teens separated from their tribes, overcome their differences to outwit their pursuer and survive the unforgiving wilds? The climate is changing, game is disappearing, and 2 peoples of the Ice Age compete for survival in a savage world. Kina, from a powerful band of Neanderthals, and Shinoni, daughter of a Cro-Magnon shaman, are torn from their families by Haken, a ruthless hunter. The girls dislike each other, but soon discover they need each other to survive. Together they escape but are pursued by Haken across the Ice Age landscape, rumbling with advancing glaciers and teeming with mighty predators. As Shinoni and Kina work to overcome disaster at every turn, they are joined by Tewa, unsure, a powerful she-wolf who becomes their guardian and spirit guide. Can their growing friendship overcome cultural, racial, and even species differences? Will they ever be able to find their families? Only the spirits know. I think this sounds really unique. I've never read something that's been set in the Ice Age like this before, so I think it could be quite a fun read. So let's cross our fingers. And the next Kindle book that I've got, I have acquired all of these in February, I'm not just giving you a spontaneous rundown of my Kindle, is Tempest of Revor by Velena Dangelis. Very unsure on name pronunciations there. So this one is coming out, I think, on the 23rd of August, so quite a similar time in August, and this one is Kingdoms and Magic again, and I just thought it sounded really, really interesting, and I did actually quite like the cover too. I have to confess the cover was what caught my eye for this one. So that brings us to the last review copy I've got on my Kindle that I've picked up this month, and that is No Gods, No Monsters by Cadwell Turnbull. That's coming out on the 7th of September, so I've got quite a bit of time to get around to that one. I will read you the blurb for this one as well. One October morning, Lena gets the news that her brother was shot and killed by Boston cops. But what looks like a case of police brutality soon reveals something much stranger. Monsters are real and they want everyone to know it. As creatures from myth and legend come out from the shadows seeking safety through visibility, their emergence sets off a chain of seemingly unrelated events. Members of the local werefolk pack are threatened into silence. A professor follows a missing friend's trail of breadcrumbs to a mysterious secret society, and a young boy with unique abilities seeks refuge in a pro-monster organization with secrets of its own. Meanwhile, more people start disappearing, suicides and hate crimes increase, and protests erupt globally, both for and against the monsters. At the center of this mystery, no one thinks to ask, why now? What has frightened the monsters out of the dark? The world will soon find out. I think this sounds very unique. It almost sounds like it's going to be having quite a topical and poignant angle to it, but on the whole just sounds like it's going to be a really interesting read, so I'm quite looking forward to that one. So that means the next book I need to discuss is my audiobook for the month of February. So I was really torn what to pick up next for my audiobook because I've got a few series that I wanted to get, and I just wasn't sure, so I actually put it up on a poll on Instagram, and the result was Eldest, which is obviously the sequel to Eragon, and I read Eragon at the end of last year. So I'm going to definitely be continuing this via audiobook. It is a heavier novel. Obviously there's a lot going on in this series, so it does require me to pay a bit more attention than I like for audiobooks, because I do like to do them whilst I'm doing other things, but I just know I'm not going to get around to it otherwise, and I did really enjoy the ebook for Eragon, so I am crossing fingers that this will be really good, and I'm quite excited to finally be continuing this series because it's just been on the cards for the longest of times. Let's begin with the haul. It's just out of control, guys. It is out of control. I'm not going to do this in any particular order. We're just gonna get through it. Okay, so the first book I am showing you today is one that I did a trade for, and that is Splintered by A.G. Howard. You may have heard me speak about A.G. Howard before, but I love A.G. Howard. She's an amazing author. I've already read this. I've read the whole series, and I've read quite a number of her other books as well. I really do think she is a fantastic author, but I've never, I thought I owned this, but I couldn't find my copy of it, so I did a book swap with one of my friends in an attempt to sort of get rid of some of the books I don't want on my shelves anymore and make way for all the new books I got this month. So fear not, I actually did do a significant unhaul this month as well, but yeah, that doesn't quite justify how many books I have acquired this month. So I really love this. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and if you haven't read it, you absolutely should. It is really, really cool, really, really awesome, and my favourite Alice in Wonderland retelling that I have ever read. I went to a secondhand bookstore in February quite spontaneously, and I walked out with about 9 books, so I will let you know which ones they are as I go through them, but these 2 were from that little shop, and that is books 2 and 3 in the Iron Face series in the new editions. I have had mismatching covers for this series in the original covers with like the faces on them, like for forever. I've always had mismatching ones, and it always bothered me because they're all different heights and they're not particularly lovely covers anyway. So I've been eyeing off everybody as they've got these new editions, which I think came out at the start of February or in January. These are quite new, and I was really surprised to see them in the secondhand bookstore, obviously going for basically half price because secondhand books, such a win. So I absolutely picked them up. I will be keeping my eye out to see if I can get secondhand editions of books 1 and 4 to finish it off, and I will be replacing my old version of the series, and they'll all look really lovely on my shelf, so I'm very excited about that. But if I can't find secondhand editions at some point, I will probably just go and buy the others. But I thought this was such a win to find in a secondhand store because these are gorgeous and they are brand spanking new. Continuing on with some of the books I got from the secondhand bookstore, I actually picked up Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. I hope you're all breathing a sigh of relief because I have so far been holding up a lot of books I have already read, and this is included. I did not have a finished copy of this. I actually had an unfinished proof that did not have a cover at all, which is no fun for pictures. So I actually sent my proof copy off to a friend who wanted to collect it, and I found this at the secondhand store. It's in really, really good nick. So I'm pleased with that, and now I've got a complete duology with finished covers, which is really nice to actually have the cover and see it in person. It's very, very exciting. More secondhand books. I found 2 of Colleen Hoover's books. I found Slammed and Point of Retreat, which is books 1 and 2 in this, I think it's either a trilogy or a quartet. As you know by now, I am trying to read as much Colleen Hoover as I can this year. I have not read a single book by her as of yet, but we are hoping, if you have seen my March TBR video, that is about to change. So when I saw these at the secondhand bookstore, I know that my library does not hold Slammed, and her books, as I've mentioned before, are a little bit expensive for some reason. I didn't want to go all out and buy them brand new, so I was really excited to see them in pretty good nick in the secondhand store, and I've heard really, really good things about Slam, so I was very excited to get these, pick them up, put them on the shelf, and get ready to read them when I get around to them. The next book I have to show you is actually one that I got in my blind date with a book with Rest and Relax, Read and Relax. If you follow me on Instagram, then you are probably aware that I am repping for this company. I've mentioned it many times in this channel before, so you make sure you check out the information down below if you want my discount code to go and shop with them. But the blind date that I got was The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. I've actually been wanting to read this. This is a really hefty and chunky edition. Really fat, it's really short, but it's really nice and floppy, which is very exciting. But I've not read any Kate Morton myself yet, but I've heard many good things. So I'm very much so hoping that when I get around to this will live up to expectations. I'm kind of expecting Kate Morton might turn into a bit of a Fiona McIntosh for me, since I've read her stuff. I have been hooked, so we will have to see how this one goes down for me. The next book I've got to show you was a bit of a spontaneous purchase, but one I was really excited about, and that is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Laurie Gottlieb. And this one I think sounds super interesting. It is about a psychologist and her psychologist unpacking our lives and, like, I guess going off experiences with their own experiences and experiences of their clients. And I thought this sounded really good. I heard someone talking about this over on Instagram, and I just immediately thought I really want to read that. I think that'd be really insightful and might have some good life advice in here. So I've been really into my books, you may have noticed, picking up a few things that'll help expand my mind and my thoughts. So I just knew I had to get a copy of it, and I really like the cover. I think it's a very happy yellow, so I can't wait to dive into this one. The next book I've got to show you is an itty bitty little pre-order that I got, and I am very excited to pick this up. In fact, I think I've been going into a bit of a slump lately, and this is like 70 pages, 100 pages, it's not very long. And that is Fireheart Tiger, which is by Aliette de Bodard. And this one is literally so small, but I loved the cover and I really like the premise of it. I will read you the blurb for this one if you're not familiar with it. Quiet, thoughtful Princess Tan was sent away as a hostage to the powerful faraway country of Etheria, I can't say that, as a child. Now she's returned to her mother's imperial court, haunted not only by memories of her first romance, but by worrying magical echoes of a fire that devastated Ephteria's royal palace. Tan's new role as a diplomat places her once again in the path of her first love, the powerful and magnetic Eldris of Ephtheria, who knows exactly what she wants. Romance from Tan and much more from Tan's home. Eldris won't take no for an answer on either front. But the fire that burned down one palace is tempting Tan with the possibility of making her own dangerous decisions. Can Tan find freedom to shape her country's fate and her own? So that sounds like that might also have a sapphic relationship in it as well, which is very exciting. There's a lot of things going for this, so I'm debating having a quick read of this to get me out of a little reading slump I'm currently in. But yeah, I have actually seen a lot of people talking about this one, so I'm quite hopeful that this will be a great start to what I can only hope will be a full series to come after it. You're not going to believe the next 3 books that I've got for you. They are totally out of character and you will be super surprised, but that is a poetry collection. I have a bit of a reputation of being not a fan of poetry. I don't like it if it doesn't rhyme, and I just don't find it super engaging. But someone was reading poetry from this particular author, which is Edgar Albert Guest on TikTok, believe it or not, and I found myself really taken by it, and I really, really wanted to read some myself. So I decided that I would just go out on a limb and I would order 3 volumes of his most popular poetry. So that is A Heap of Livin', The Path to Home, and All That Matters. I've had a quick flick through these volumes already, and I think that it's just really nice poetry. So there's a few little like images on the inside. It's in quite old typeset font. So it looks a little bit like that on the inside. There's some really, really lovely poems in here. So at some point I'll probably flick through and have a solid read of them because it won't take too long. But yeah, I'm really chuffed with this decision and also very surprised with myself. The next 2 books I have to show you were also from that secondhand bookstore, and I thought it was really serendipitous that I found these. And it is the next 2 books in the Changeling series by Philippa Gregory. It's called The Order of Darkness, I believe, that I read last month. So depending on whether I decide to put my book haul up first or my wrap up, you may or may not know what I'm talking about, but basically I went to the library the other month and I picked out a Philippa Gregory book because I want to get into more of her writing, and my library did not have books 2, 3 or 4, which is very disappointing, and my library is not very good at actually getting stuff in that I ask for, but I found books 2 and 3 at that secondhand bookstore, and I thought that that was just the universe telling me I needed to continue it. So that's Stormbringers and Fool's Gold. The covers are okay, they don't quite match, but what can you do? They're at least the same height, so they look okay on the bookshelf. This was a brilliant medieval fantasy, and it is so much fun with a really good little band of characters, so I would definitely recommend this if you want some really strong female characters and some good medieval intrigue. The next book I have to show you is a pre-order that arrived, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. Now this one is... well, it was very hyped when it was announced originally, but I have to say I've not seen that much hype about it now. I know people are reading and enjoying it, so I'm hoping that it is really good. The small tagline on the back is, "Are we girls or are we demons? Are we going to die or are we going to survive?" And I think it sounds really interesting. It's got a wonderful cover, and I am very much so hoping that it lives up to my expectations. Now the next 7 books I want to show you together, and that is because I have got my hands on a new set of Harry Potters. Ta-da! They almost match. Someone was getting rid of these. I imagine that was to do with J.K. Rowling, and I apologise to anyone here who does not want to see much Harry Potter. I won't talk about them for long, but I do still want to have a collection myself, as I do not have a full set. I've been trying to replace our old editions in the original covers, like my parents' editions, because they've been falling apart, which is why I took this mismatched set, but I don't own any of these new editions, so at some point I will get the 7th one to match these ones, but I got these for an absolute steal and I was very, very pleased with that. We are definitely not going to count how many editions of Harry Potter I have now though, because it is a scary number. The next book I want to show you I'm very excited about, and that is because it is The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, with sprayed ombre edges. I got these from Burn the Wick Candle Co., which is a company I used to work with, and they've recently started doing sprayed edges, and I just think it's stunning. So she's got Secondhand Books. It's a little bit on the battered side, you can see, but it's not too bad. And I really, really wanted a hardback edition of this actually, because I really enjoyed listening to this on audiobook. So again, I've already read this one, which is a tick. The TBR isn't creaking with the weight of 2 new books, but I thought that this was really fun and I really liked it, so I couldn't help myself and I got it. The next book I have to show you is another pre-order, and that is Winterkeep by Kristen Cashore. This is the 4th book in the Graceling Realm series. I am so excited about this book. I am just waiting for an opportunity to sit down and read it. It is quite big though, and I'm feeling like I've got a lot of other things I kind of need to get around to first, but I'm so excited to see where this goes. I read Bitter Blue only a handful of years ago, which feels like a win because the Graceling Realm series is quite old, so I don't feel the need to do a reread. So that, yes, definitely a win there. I can still remember all the events of Bitter Blue, and I think Bitter Blue's character does feature quite heavily in this 4th installment. I just love this cover. It is absolutely stunning. It's got a lovely little wolf on the front. It has beautiful end papers, and it also has a really lovely map, which I am just in love with. The whole amount of effort that's going into this book is just so good. So I was thrilled to have my pre-order arrive for this one and itching for an opportunity to read it. The next book I have got to show you is actually a library book, but I thought I might as well show it to you whilst I've got it, and that is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Renee Edo-Lodge. And this one's obviously, I feel like it's relatively self-explanatory. It's been so popular and I really wanted to read it, so I will be getting around to this at some point in March to see what all the fuss is about, because I'm sure it's going to be a spectacular read. The next 2 books were the final books that I got at that secondhand bookstore, and that is books by Fiona McIntosh, and it's Goddess and Emissary, and these are books 2 and 3. Sorry, 2 and 3, and I don't know what the series is called. Percheron series, perhaps? The first book is called Odalisque, and I bought it many, many moons ago at a book fair. And I remember at the time that the lady, the volunteer that was there, was telling me that I should get the rest of the series because I'm going to love it. I said, no ma'am, I'm just going to get book 1 and we're going to start there. And I felt really proud of myself for being not persuaded into buying more. And then I regretted it ever since because I didn't think I would ever find books 2 and 3 in the same edition as the one I've got, because book 1 matches these, and lo and behold I have. Have I read book 1? No, I haven't, but I know I'm going to love it because it's Fiona McIntosh and she's the most recent love of my life. We're nearly there. we are nearly there. The next book I have to show you is an advance copy that I have been meaning to get around to read, but I have been struggling to find time. It arrived on my doorstep after publication, which is a little bit late, and that is Game Changer by Neil Shusterman. I love Neil Shusterman. He wrote the Scythe trilogy, which you may be most familiar with, among many other books as well. I've heard great things about this one, and I will hopefully be picking this up within the next week or two. I'm very, very excited to have this one. I will read you the blurb. It's quite short. A searing exploration of the world we live in and the ones we don't. Ash is used to taking hits for his high school football team, but then those hits start pushing him through a succession of universes, almost but not really like his own. As small shifts in reality become significant shifts in Ash's own identity, he starts to question the world he thought he knew, as well as the ones he finds himself catapulted into. For better or for worse, the only thing Ash knows is that he's got to find a way to put everything back together. I actually haven't read too many reviews, and I have no idea if this universe shifting is a real thing or if it's like a metaphor for some sort of mental health. I have no idea, but I can't wait to find out. That brings me to my final book, which is also an advance copy, and this is just about out in stores as I'm filming, so it should be out by the time that you're seeing this, and it is Codebreakers by Ali Sinclair. This is World War II historical fiction set in Australia. It's set in Brisbane specifically, and it is obviously about codebreakers. I think it's going to sound really good. If you want to know more and that piques your interest, I recommend you go and read the full blurb over on Goodreads or your website of choice, because I'm super, super excited to dive into this one. I'm very, very excited about all these new books. I am not going to try and pick them up because I'm sure that will not end well, but I just have so many new books. I have so many new books to get through, and I feel like there are some, you know, passable excuses as to why there's so many, but I'm nonetheless very excited about it. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these or if you're planning to, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria mia